Hey guys, I'm having to hide in our library at the moment because it's very late and Casey's sleeping, and this is on my mind, and I wanted to share it with you guys before we do our thing on Wednesday. So, for those of you watching this that don't know, this Wednesday evening is the beginning of Passover week, which is a really cool time. Passover was a Jewish feast day that God instituted back in the book of Exodus around chapter 12, I think, and it looked back on a time when God led the Israelites out of Egypt, out of the bondage of slavery in Egypt, and it looked forward to a time which for them was yet future. For us is past tense, when Christ would be crucified on a cross in Judea to lead us out of the bondage of sin. It's a really cool thing. So this Wednesday evening, the youth, the Brute Squad, will be celebrating a modified Passover, looking back at how it applies to Christ, and I'm very excited about doing this. Now, ordinarily, the Jews would spend the time leading up to Passover removing every bit of leaven from their homes. And that's not quite as simple as just removing the bread out of your cabinets. No, there's more to it than that. This is it's any kind of starter dough. Sometimes you don't even realize what has starter dough in it, like pasta. You don't think about removing canned pasta, cans of Chef Boyardee ravioli from your cabinets. And so sometimes it's not quite as obvious. And more than just that, it's not, again, just not removing foods from your cabinets. It's picking every fallen breadcrumb out of the carpet, and digging down into the dark, forgotten corners of the house, and in between those dark spaces between the couch cushions, all the places where cookie crumbs have fallen, and embedded themselves in your furniture. Everything has to go. And then, as you can imagine, this takes a long time. You might spend hours doing this. The point was not just to get the bread out of the house. The point is not just spring cleaning. No, the point is that leaven represents sin. And our sin is sometimes really obvious, like the loaf of Wonder Bread, in the box on the countertop. Sometimes when we think, where's the leaven in my house, where's the sin in my life, sometimes our mind goes right to it. And sometimes it requires a lot of introspection, a lot of stepping back and examining oneself. And sometimes, it's sins we don't even know we're committing. We have to compare our lives, the things we do, the things we say, the things we think, to the Word of God, and see how we measure up, because even the word sin means missing the mark. How do we measure up? And so this is while they're removing the leaven from their homes, it's also a period of reflection and removing the sin from one's self. Right, so I'm not going to ask you guys to throw away your bread, especially because during coronavirus, that seems like that and toilet paper. That's what everybody's stocking up on. You've probably got so much bread in your house that you're sleeping on it. You've replaced your mattress with loaves of Merita. I'm not going to ask you guys to do that. Plus, we're not Jewish. We are the church. But I am going to ask you guys over the next day or so, a day and a half until we have our Seder, to really think about yourselves, and think, where do I measure up, or how do I measure up against God's word? We talk about not taking the communion, which is a Passover. We talk about not taking it in an unworthy manner. Well, this is what that means. When you're going to have to look inward and see if if there's something that needs to be addressed, something that you need to fix. Maybe it's a perspective thing. I don't know what it might be in your life. Maybe it's something obvious. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something that you're going to have to start digging through those dark corners to find. While I'm looking forward to seeing all of you guys on Wednesday evening, I would rather you not take the Passover in an unworthy manner, but instead spend the next day locked in your house thinking about how you measure up. Is there any leaven in your life that needs to be removed?